First, King Charles is now ignoring calls and even letters from Prince Harry, according to the US celebrity Bible People magazine. The Duke of Sussex is apparently completely out of the loop when it comes to his own father's health and cancer treatment, and apparently found out about the King's recent hospital stay via the media. And yet another sign that the royal reunion might now be more distant than ever before. Reports in the Daily Mail suggest that Prince William has been left frustrated by Harry's surprise visit to Ukraine, where he met with wounded soldiers. The Prince of Wales had apparently planned a similar trip himself, but it was blocked due to security concerns. Well, we're joined now by the editor-at-large at the Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffith. Charlotte, thank you very, very much. First things first, it appears as though King Charles is no longer taking Prince Harry's calls, or indeed reading his letters. What do you make of that?
I think it's really sad for Harry, actually, and for Charles, because we know Charles is really ill. I don't blame Charles at all, because Harry is deeply untrustworthy. And in his Netflix documentary, you can see him receiving a text, not from Charles, but from Prince William, reading it straight away out to Meghan whilst being filmed by TV cameras. So I can hardly blame him for being, Charles for cutting off his son. But I do think it's a really sad situation, because Charles was hospitalised the other day, and Harry had no idea. And this leak to People magazine, those leaks often come from the Sussex camps when it comes to People magazines. They've got really close links. So I do think it's probably coming from them, more or less. And the other thing is, Harry's recently said that he felt exhausted and overwhelmed by the court case about his security going on over here. So I am a bit worried that he sounds a bit fragile at the moment, and he can't get through to his own family.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, though, this is what you get when you leave and slag them off on the way out, isn't it?
Yes, and also Meghan has a real history of freezing out her friends and just completely cold shouldering, people that she's known for years, including her own father, famously. So I do wonder whether they're getting a taste of their own medicine. Maybe Harry's adopted this policy of freezing people out and being frozen out himself. But what is different is that this is the first glimpse we've had to the fact that he is actually trying to reach out to his family after a very long period of silence between them. And the fact that he's calling them and he can't get through to his father and he can't get letters through, it's just...
I do wonder, I get what you're saying just from a purely family perspective, Charlotte, don't get me wrong, it is very sad. But I suppose from the King's perspective and maybe Prince William's perspective as well, they just don't know if they take one of those calls. Is there a Netflix camera crew at the other end of it?
No, exactly. Like I said, I couldn't believe it when I watched that Netflix documentary, and you can see Harry get a message from his brother, show it to Meghan, who then reacted in front of a camera. I would never send a message to him again if I thought there was a risk of that. And the other thing for Charles is there's a risk that the Ravek appeal that's going on actually could fall apart, because if Harry tries to lobby his father privately, that will actually really badly affect this appeal, this court case. So, and we don't know how long that's going to go on for. That's the other thing. It's already rattled on for 3 years. I don't think they'll get back in touch until that appeal, reaches its conclusion. We don't know how long it will take. If at all, I actually think Charles will deliberately freeze him out until after that court case.
Gosh, well, watch this space.
Let's talk about the absolute shameful way Prince Harry is being treated by his own family and the UK establishment, and how certain media figures continue to twist the knife, trying to gaslight the world into blaming him for being the one left out in the cold. Because once again the British press and their mouthpieces are lining up like clockwork, ready to brand Harry as fragile or deeply untrustworthy, while completely ignoring the cold, calculated cruelty he continues to face from the very institution he was born into. Prince Harry, who just recently made a trip back to the UK to fight for something no parent, no spouse and no public servant should ever have to beg for, his safety, has reportedly been shut out by his father, King Charles. Yes, the same king who is battling cancer, the same father Harry has openly shown concern and care for. And how does Charles respond? By ignoring his son's phone calls and letters, by freezing him out, by letting him learn about his father's hospitalization through the media. Let that sink in. Imagine being a son across the ocean trying to reach your seriously ill father, and instead of receiving a returned call or even a text, what you get is silence, radio silence. Now imagine that same father then allows leaks to continue painting you as the villain in some twisted royal narrative. If this isn't emotional warfare, I don't know what is. And of course the British tabloid brigade is having a field day. Charlotte Griffiths of the Mail on Sunday, a paper notorious for its obsession with tearing down Meghan and Harry, decided to pop up on GB News parroting the same old toxic talking points. Harry is deeply untrustworthy, she says, referencing a scene from Harry and Meghan where he reads a message from his brother William to Meghan while cameras are rolling. Let's unpack that for a second. First of all, Harry was filming his own truth. A truth that, by the way, the palace refused to share, because they know full well that their version of never complain, never explain is just a fancy way of saying, let the press do our dirty work. Griffiths claims that these so-called leaks come from the Sussex camp, ignoring the well-documented fact that Kensington Palace and Clarence House have orchestrated press briefings for years, feeding stories to reporters while pretending to keep their hands clean. The hypocrisy is staggering, and what's more, Griffiths actually had the audacity to suggest that Harry is getting a taste of his own medicine. Because, in her view, Meghan Markle is known for freezing out people, including her father. As if protecting yourself from toxic, exploitative relationships is somehow a character flaw. Let's remember why Meghan distanced herself from her father, because he was selling her out to the tabloids for cash before her wedding, because he lied to her face and to the world. But sure, Charlotte, let's reduce Meghan's boundaries to petty drama. This isn't journalism, this is bullying dressed up in pearls and posh accents. And let's talk about this ridiculous idea that Harry's court appeal over his security might fall apart if he dares to talk to his own father. Are you hearing this? What they're really saying is, Harry, if you speak to your family, we'll accuse you of manipulating the system. And if he doesn't speak to them, they say he's isolating himself and being cold. It's a catch-22 designed to trap him in a lose-lose narrative. So let's set the record straight. Prince Harry is not fragile. He is not untrustworthy. He is a son, a husband, and a father, doing what any responsible man would do, fighting for the right to keep his family safe in a country where he has been threatened. Fighting a Home Office that is clearly more interested in playing politics than protecting lives. Harry is doing what the monarchy has never done for him. He is standing up for himself in court, under oath and with receipts. That takes strength, that takes courage. And let's not forget, this entire security fight started because the UK government stripped away his protection when he stepped back from royal duties, even though the threats against him and Meghan did not go away. In fact, they only increased. And yet, the same voices now calling him fragile are the ones who cheered when the palace threw him to the wolves. We see it for what it is, a coordinated smear campaign designed to discredit Harry in the eyes of the public and pressure him into silence. But the more they try to shut him down, the louder we're going to be. Prince Harry has been nothing but consistent. He wants transparency, accountability and protection, not just for himself, but for Meghan, for Archie, for Lilibet. He's not asking for privilege, he's asking for fairness. And that should never be controversial. And as for Meghan, how long will they keep dragging her name into every single one of Harry's struggles? How long will these so-called royal experts keep using her as a scapegoat, blaming her for boundaries she set to protect her peace? Here's the truth. Meghan is not the reason Harry is estranged from his family. The lies, the briefings, the silence in the face of racism and abuse, that's what drove them out. The firm refused to defend them. The family refused to support them. And yet somehow they are the ones always expected to apologize. It's time we flip this narrative. Prince Harry is showing the world what real accountability looks like. He's challenging outdated institutions, exposing hypocrisy, and demanding justice, even if it means standing alone. And Meghan, she remains the very definition of grace under fire. Dignified, strong, and unbothered by the toxic media circus that continues to try and pull her down. So, to all the folks still trying to cast Harry as a villain and Meghan as the manipulative mastermind, wake up. The world sees you, and the world isn't buying it anymore. To our amazing Royal Sussex squad family, we ride for Harry and Meghan because they have shown us that love, truth and resilience will always outshine hate. And if you're as tired of the lies as we are, it's time to stand louder, prouder and more united than ever. Prince Harry left fragile, as Duke cannot get through to his family, deeply untrustworthy. The Duke of Sussex recently returned to the UK to appeal his security arrangements put in place by the Home Office. Prince Harry has been left in a fragile state with the royal family, as King Charles is now not answering his calls and letters. It has been claimed. According to People magazine, the Duke of Sussex is reportedly completely out of the loop when it comes to his own father's health and cancer treatment, and apparently found out about the King's recent hospital stay via the media. King Charles is now also reportedly ignoring calls and letters from Prince Harry amid his recent visit to the UK to appeal security arrangements set in place by the Home Office. Discussing the Duke's depleting relations with the royal family, editor-at-large of the Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffiths, claimed it is a really sad situation for Harry, one that leaves him fragile. Prince Harry has been left in a fragile state after failing to get through to his family, Reuters Griffiths told GB News. I think it's really sad for Harry, actually, and for Charles, because we know Charles is really ill. And I don't blame Charles at all, because Harry is deeply untrustworthy. And in his Netflix documentary, you can see him receiving a text from Prince William, reading it straight away out to Meghan whilst being filmed by TV cameras. So I can hardly blame Charles for cutting off his son. Noting that these kind of leaks often come from the Sussex camp, Griffiths added that the dispute over his security arrangements in Britain will also have had an effect on him. Griffiths said, "I do think it's a really sad situation because Charles was hospitalised the other day and Harry had no idea." Those leaks often come from the Sussex camps. When it comes to People magazines, they've got really close links, so I do think it's probably coming from them more or less. Harry's also recently said that he felt exhausted and overwhelmed by the court case about his security going on over here, so I'm a bit worried that he sounds a bit fragile at the moment and he can't get through to his own family. Discussing Meghan Markle's relations with her own family, Griffiths suggested that perhaps Harry is adopting Meghan's policy of freezing people out, but is now receiving a taste of his own medicine. Griffiths stated, "Meghan has a real history of freezing out her friends and just completely cold-shouldering people that she's known for years, including her own father, famously. So I do wonder whether they're getting a taste of their own medicine. Maybe Harry's adopted this policy of freezing people out and being frozen out himself." Discussing Prince Harry's court appeal, Griffiths concluded by suggesting that the case could fall apart if he was to speak with his father about the situation. Griffiths told GB News, "The other thing for Charles is there's a risk that the appeal that's going on actually could fall apart, because if Harry lobbies his father privately, that will actually really badly affect this appeal, this court case, and we don't know how long that's going to go on for. That's the other thing. It's really rattled on for 3 years. I don't think they'll get back in touch until that appeal reaches its conclusion." If you loved this video and you support Harry and Meghan's journey, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. And if you'd like to support the channel, please consider leaving a super thanks below. It helps us keep shining a light on the truth and fighting back against the noise. This is Royal Sussex Squad, and we will always speak up for what's right. Until next time, stay loud, stay proud, and keep fighting the good fight.